James Kaufman, World News Report today, June 26, 2025. God bless you and yours, no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've been in and out of that geomagnetic storm that was promised to us by that coronal hole that was Earth-facing several days ago. It definitely took longer to get here than anyone figured. Taking a quick look at our KP indexes, which is really a combination of the plasma and solar winds or cosmic winds hitting Earth at any given time. Their bars are in 3-hour periods, and NASA and NOAA have updated recently this estimated planetary index, and this is the one they use exclusively. And it says yesterday that we had 6 hours of a geomagnetic disturbance, and today it looks like we had 15 hours of a geomagnetic disturbance, and we finally, over the last 3 hours, had a G1 geomagnetic storm, although they're still predicting a G2 geomagnetic storm. You can tell the storm is right here, and we haven't seen the next leg to drop, but it should drop very shortly. Now, we can take a look at some of the other KP indexes, but they are not considered by NOAA or NASA. Our Boulder index has 6 hours of a geomagnetic disturbance yesterday, and it looks like they have 12, 15, 18 hours of a geomagnetic disturbance today. Taking a look at our Fredericksburg index, looks like we had 3 hours of a disturbance yesterday, 3 hours of a G1 geomagnetic storm, and then today it looks like we had 9 hours of a geomagnetic disturbance, followed by the last 3 hours of a G1 geomagnetic storm. Now, to continue, our college index, well, it always seems to be the most sensitive, and yesterday it claims that we saw, and much earlier in the day, may I add, 3 hours of a geomagnetic disturbance, followed by 3 hours of a G1 geomagnetic storm. Today, it looks like we started the day off with 6 hours of a geomagnetic disturbance. It looks like we had a break. We went into a G1 geomagnetic storm and then climbed to a G2 geomagnetic storm for 6 hours. And we've had a lull on the college index back to a geomagnetic disturbance for 6 hours. Taking a look at the official estimated planetary KP index, the only thing they see here is a G1 KP5 geomagnetic storm. They really don't cover the disturbances. Anything less than 5 just becomes green. Really, a disturbance starts at a KP4, so this is really 9 hours of disturbance here. And this 367, believe it or not, is rounded off to a 4 and considered a geomagnetic disturbance as well. So let's continue. And I thought we'd jump over to the German KP index to kind of compare it. Now, they show yesterday that we had, it looks like 6 hours of a geomagnetic storm and 9 hours of a geomagnetic disturbance. And it looks like today they had, well, 9 hours of a geomagnetic disturbance plus a G2 geomagnetic storm, followed by the last. All right, I thought we'd check our work with the German KP index. And it looks like, well, yesterday Germany says that we had 9 hours of geomagnetic disturbances with 6 hours of a geomagnetic G1 storm here. The 467 rounds up to a 5, which is a G1 geomagnetic storm. And it looks like today we opened up with 9 hours of a geomagnetic disturbance, followed by 6 hours of a geomagnetic storm. The 5-3 rounds down to the 5, and the 467 rounds up to the 5, both being a G1 geomagnetic storm. Over to Discover Real-Time Solar Wind Satellite, we see that plasma is mostly down around 2 centimeters cubed. We'll see what they guesstimated. Today is the 26th. Second hangs around 2 to 4 centimeters cubed. There are some abnormalities in here, but we really can't pick. There's a 32.58. We'll call that a total abnormality for 1 minute. There's a 26.79. So we did see some abnormalities here. And we started out the day at around 675 kilometers per second solar winds, and that did peak at 850 kilometers per second, according to Discover. And we didn't get a huge geomagnetic storm during this time period, which is strange, except for on the college index. You can see it's slowly moving its way up. And we're almost up to an 800. Definitely closed the day right here at a 750. And we've been as high as an 806 within the last 30 minutes or so. Temperatures have remained slightly elevated, but not as high as we've seen them, not even close. So let's continue. All right, over to ACE, Real-Time Space Weather Satellite, kind of checking our work. Here we see temperatures look much more elevated for sure. We see solar winds starting out right about where we said, 675, going up over 800 here, and slowly working their way up. They're still looking for a G2 inbound. That is forecasted currently by NOAA. And when we look at plasma, it generally stays below 5 centimeters cubed. We do have a few, maybe 3, maybe 4 minutes that are very abnormal with very high plasma readings here. The shows are up, if we didn't mention, besides a few moments in the day. Again, temperatures are much more elevated on our ACE satellite, which is our older, solar wind plasma satellite. Taking a look at the bright light in our sky, our sun, you can see that coronal hole that was so large has dissipated quite a bit and has almost reached the outgoing limb. It doesn't look like much right now. We have another coronal hole inbound. We have a dark filament up here that looks like it wants to release, that would not be affected towards Earth. We have sunspots coming around the limb. We have several Earth-facing sunspots that I will show you now. Heading over to HMI intensogram, we see that really we have only 5 named sunspot groups Earth-facing. Most of them are simple and green, and then we have 1 beta gamma, 4120 here. No major flaring whatsoever today. We'll take a look at that. We also remember that we have that coronal hole coming around here, and at least 3 sunspots that will need to be named probably by tomorrow. We'll take a quick look at the backside right now, the composite at least. All right, there's not much to talk about except for a very, very strong sunspot here in red, 037. We have 2 additional, 036 and 038. But this is a sunspot group that we will remember. Now remember, this was taken about a day and a half ago. So this is going to have moved much closer to the Earth-facing side of our solar disk, which is this. And finally, taking a look at our GOES X-ray flux, shows us any of the solar flares or filaments that might have come near our atmosphere and hit our GOES satellite. We see nothing. Saw a little bump just now, but really that was a C2 flare or something like that. We've seen nothing in over 7 days. Very, very quiet on our sun. One last thing, I think that we've had that last bar drop or last measurement drop. Let's take a look. We have, in fact, had the 7 p.m. Central to 10 p.m. bar drop. Must drop about 15 minutes after the fact. And it shows that we're still in a G1 geomagnetic storm except for, well, the Fredericksburg that says we're just in a disturbance. All the rest of them are screaming G1 still geomagnetic storm. Remember, a G2 has been predicted. God bless. Please share, subscribe, and always remember, anything's possible. Bizarro world.